And now we know why Nehemia had to die. Hey everybody, this is Kat.
And this is Rachel.
And you're listening to the Smut Peddlers podcast, a show for people who love books, especially when there's smut. We discuss our likes, our dislikes, and share all our favorite moments with you.
Today we're talking about Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. So grab your favorite beverage and get ready to burn with us. We are on part 11 of our tandem read through Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn in the romantic order. Today we're covering Tower of Dawn 49 to 56 and Empire of Storms 62 to 65.
A little recap from our previous episode of where our characters are. A lot of shit is about to happen. Last episode was terrifying. Chaol and Yrene found out about the necropolis and that the Fae had faced the Valg at some point. Yrene decided that she's going to take the scrolls to Hafiza to get them looked at a little bit more. They did all of this while they were in the Oasis for Irene's birthday. Chaol and Yrene also did it. Woo!
Woo!
Nesryn finds out pretty much all of the Maeve lore. So, like, we were wondering why why Nesryn was going and doing all these things with Sartek. I guess it was so that the spiders could tell us that Maeve is actually the queen of the Valg. And the spiders have been waiting for her. And they happen to be at the location where Maeve has entered. And so they're guarding it. They're protecting. Terrifying. That is the scariest information that I think I have learned thus far. And then right after we learn that, we jump back to Empire of Storm. Turns out Maeve's armada is just hanging out face to face with Aelin and our dream team. They're like, hello, we've been stirring the pot. We've been lighting things on fire and saying it's you. So, everyone's doing really great right now. We're starting off strong. Everyone's happy-go-lucky. As an aside, in our Empire of Storm section, Manon and Dorian did it too, so we can have those two.
Yeah, and then I realized also in the last episode, Adian and Lysandra admitted that they had feelings for each other as well.
Yeah.
So and Elide chose Lorcan.
Everyone's pairing off.
And now everything's gonna go terribly.
Yeah, everyone has pretty much said they love each other, and now the world will burn.
Yeah, and Nesryn and Sartek.
Yep,
also.
Sartek pretty much said that he's been in love with her since he heard about her, which is weird, but fine. It's romantic.
Everyone's in love now, and everything's going to be completely fine.
Yeah, so we learn in the last episode, we're going to start off right back with Nesryn. We learn that Maeve is our Valg queen, which is scary. We also learn that she pretty much tricked the Fae into believing that she was their Fae queen by infiltrating their brains and pretty much changing their memories to have her as the queen and not another individual. Which Erewhon can't do that. He has to have a ring on their hand or a thing on their neck to be able to infiltrate into their brain. Why can Maeve do this?
I don't know, dude.
Is Maeve more powerful than Erewhon? Is this the little, here, she's scarier than Erewhon. Good luck now.
So,
we still get so much lore.
It feels like kinda.
Yeah.
Because, we get so much info. So, Maeve was, there are the three brothers that are the three Valg kings, which we've known about for a little while. The thing that we didn't know was that one of them was fucking married, and his wife is Maeve. It's Maeve. And she was like, I don't like it here. I'm gonna go. And she figured out a way to travel with these keys or whatever. So she figured out a way to open the portals and move through the portals. And then she left. And the brothers were like, where the fuck did this bitch go? And how did she do that? So then they were like, we're going to try to figure out how to do this. And Maeve, being the smart lady that she is, was like, I feel like I'm not going to get away with this. They're going to find me eventually. So she goes and hides in this new role of the third queen that didn't exist before, because she goes and finds Mob and the other one whose name I can't remember at the moment.
Mala and Maeve.
Maeve.
Yeah.
Nope.
Isn't it Mala and
Is
Maeve?
it Mala and Mob? I don't think so. I didn't think so. No, Mora. It's Mab and Mora.
Mab and Mora. Yeah.
Mab and Mora were the two sister queens. And then Maeve just like
pretty much convinced them that she was their third sister.
It says, using her powers, she ripped into their minds, made them believe they had a sister, an eldest sister to rule them. 3 queens for the 3 kings that might come one day. When they returned to their palace, she tore into the minds of all those who dwelled there too, and any who came, planting the thought that a third queen had always existed, always ruled. If they somehow resisted her power, she found ways to end them. So, Nesryn had heard legends of Maeve's dark, unnamed power, a darkness that devours the stars. That Maeve had never revealed a fae form, only that deadly darkness, and that she had lived far beyond the lifespan of any known fae. Lived so long that only compared lifespan is Erewhon. So, now that she says all that shit, I'm like, fuck. Nah, damn it.
A Valg lifespan for a Valg queen.
So she tricks the sisters into thinking that she is also one of the sisters, so that she can basically like have an army to protect herself when these kings come. So they do come, as we know from the lore. What they don't realize, the kings don't realize that Maeve is like his former wife, basically, and completely underestimates these 3 queens because they don't realize that Maeve, who knows all of their tactics and shit, is basically the one controlling the army that's fighting against them.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why they're able to fight back so much, which is so shitty when you think back to all of the lore that we've learned up until this point, because it's like the Fae fought back against the Valg and it was great and they were fighting for the things. Nope, fucking bullshit the whole time, because it's literally just been Maeve the whole time being like, I don't want to go back. I'm going to be here.
I just want to stay here.
This is my rule to world. Fuck off. And just doesn't. Oh, God.
Yeah, she pretty much surrounded herself with all the strongest Fae warriors, as we are aware. Rowan, Lorcan, Gavriel, Fenris are the strongest Fae warriors.
Mm-hmm. And she did it surrounding herself with Fae warriors so others might not ask how she knew so many things. The clever queen claimed it was from communing with the spirit world, but she knew. She had run those war camps, knew how the kings worked, so she stole the keys, managed to send 2 of those kings back. Orcus was one of them. And before she could go after the final king, the youngest one, who loved his brothers so very deeply, the keys were taken from her by Brannon. So this is when Brannon saw the darkness in her but did not recognize it. He wondered, suspected, but all he'd known of the Valg were their male soldiers. Everybody's fucking underestimating the women.
Yeah, I was going to say another man underestimating
how different,
women.
How extraordinary a female Valg is. What a terrifying line that we'll get back to in a second. Even he was tricked by her. She found paths into his mind to keep him from truly realizing it. Even now, when all should be clear to his meddlesome spirit, even now he does not know. To his oncoming doom, yes, to his doom and the others. And she realizes that means like Aelin and that group.
Because Aelin, up until this point, has been navigating, utilizing Elena and Brannon's word. And if we learn that his spirit still does not know the truth about Maeve, there's no one to tell Aelin the truth about Maeve.
Nope.
Except Nesryn, who's just wrapped up in some spider web.
The spider does still say, though, that she still was very afraid of Brannon's fire.
Mm-hmm.
As all true Valg do.
Yeah.
So, there's still hope, I guess, because, like, you know,
we still know that
she's still gonna be really afraid of
fire. Yeah.
So, and then the conversation ends with, she ordered us to hold the pass to guard the rip in the world, so we have, and so we will, until she summons us to her side once more.
Yeah, so pretty much the spiders are waiting at this door or gate into this world to protect it so that when Maeve wants to go back, she can. Which is terrifying.
Yeah.
But also, like, my brain just keeps thinking, Maeve's been just chilling with the Fae. Erewhon's really the one kind of doing a lot of bad shit. She wants him out.
But she wants him out so that she can continue to be, like, ruler of
the Fae. She hasn't tried to conquer all these other places. She's had so much
time
to try to conquer these places. She does suck. Like, I don't think she's great.
She still sucks.
But I'm still, like, in the camp of, like, well, maybe she will help us banish Erewhon out.
Maybe.
Like, she wants the brothers gone.
Well,
she doesn't want them here.
I don't think anymore, though.
I don't know.
I think that she's more, I don't know.
This is the first we're hearing of her being a Valg and her background at all. We didn't know anything about Maeve previously.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That was true.
This does go back to the conversation that, like, they had previously, that Manon and Dorian had, where it's like, when Aelin kicks everyone out, where does it end? Yep. Like, who is she just gonna say, like, nope, you're Valg, fuck off, get out, and just kick her out as well?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Oh no, it's scary.
This is when Falcon saves them.
Yeah, so Falcon,
she gets all the information, and then the spider's like, okay, that was enough. Your lunch now. And
Falcon has fully
changes into a spider, which is sick.
Yeah, Falcon has fully cut the, like, back part of the web, so she could just kind of, like, open her arms and, like, it'll all fall off of her. And he has scurried himself down as his little mouse self, transformed into a spider, and then come back in to warn the spider that's in front of Nesryn that there is an army of Rook coming. And so that spider is like, oh shit, we have to go deal with it. So that big spider leaves. And then at first you don't know that this is Falcon, because I remember the spider looking at Sartak and being like, all right, it's time to go, Prince. And he just opens his eyes. He's like, okay, sick. And I was like, Sartak was just, like, in with the spiders somehow? Like, how the fuck? And then we realize it's Falcon a little later. And I was like, oh, that makes more sense. I was like, what is happening? Yeah. The spider only whispered, hurry, as Sartak opened his eyes, alert and calm. He wasn't unconscious. He was alert and awake the whole time. He was just playing dead. So we have the lore of the Valg still hate fire. So, and Nesryn, Sartak, and Falcon would like to escape.
Yeah, they gotta get the fuck out.
They don't really have any way to escape. There's this, like, narrow path up, but it's a cliff on the end. Like, it's kind of like a cave that goes up and to the edge of the cliff, but there's really no out. So Falcon has decided he will be a distraction so that they can escape.
Yeah.
This is the part that gets me. First, Nesryn says fire. They don't like fire. We gotta do fire. So Sartak starts ripping his clothing up, ripping everything up to wrap around the arrows that she has remaining and lighting them on fire with like a rock. Like 2 rocks
Fucking
smashing
fire
next
arrows
to each
is
other.
sick.
Yeah.
Yep.
She starts taking out spiders with these fire arrows. Meanwhile, Falcon knows that he's gonna die, essentially. And she wants him to shift into something else so that he can escape, but he kind of doesn't. And he asks for a favor of Nesryn. And this one got me in the heart. I will hold them, Falcon said. Sparks showered, flame kindled on the 3rd flaming arrow. A favor, Captain, the shifter said to her. Time. They did not have time. When I was 7, my older brother sired a bastard daughter off a poor woman in Rifthold. Abandoned them both. It has been 20 years since then, and from when I was old enough to go to the city to begin my trade, I looked for her. Found the mother after some years, on her deathbed. She could barely talk long enough to say she'd kicked the girl out. She did not know where my niece was. Didn't care. She died before she could give me a name. If she survived, if she is grown, she might have the shifter gift too. But it doesn't matter if she does or does not. What matters, she is my family. All I have left, and I have looked for her for a very long time. Find her, Falcon said. My fortune, all of it is for her, and I may have failed her in this life, but not in my death. And I wrote, in all caps, is his niece Lysandra? My heart, I can't. Lysandra has family who's been looking for her this whole time.
It's heartbreaking.
I've liked Falcon since the beginning, and I didn't want him to die. So then he started attacking. He stayed in his spider form and started attacking the other spiders, while Sartak and Nesryn stumbled to the edge of the cliff opening. Nesryn and Sartak fought for their lives, and then a rook appeared. Not Kadara, but Arcus and Borte. Kadara did exactly what we needed her to do, and she went and got more people. She went back and she was like, hey, yo, I'm alone. I had Sartak with me. Please come help now. And so Borte...
And they come just in time.
Yes.
To save all 3 of them.
Mm-hmm. It ends up not being Kadara that picks them up, but one of the rooks picks up all 3 of them, or there are 3 rooks that pick them up. It is pretty much said that all 3 of them get picked up, so Falcon has not died. Thank God. I need Falcon and Lysandra to meet, please. My heart. They got scooped up, and then Borte flies up higher, and because Borte is kick-ass, her and all the other rook flyers start hailing down arrows of fire on all of the spider territory. Pretty much all of Dagul goes up in flame from them, and Nesryn like notes it as being like shooting stars coming down and just like lighting web on fire.
That's pretty good.
I love Borte. This
I'm happy that they all survived.
Yeah.
And also, they need to fucking haul ass. Please, God.
Hurry up. There's a lot of shit. A shit storm is happening.
Y'all gotta get back and all get pleased together and have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Okay. So, we leave off Tower of Dawn. Nesryn, Sartak, and Falcon are safe. The spiders are dying. Dagul is in fire.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Maeve's armada is rolling up.
Yeah.
On Dream Team.
We'll go out back to something super not stressful at all. It's fine. Oh, God.
This part starts off fun. Dorian, at the end of our last section, pretty much left the I don't put all my cards on the table at once kind of thing. There's a lot going on in my head all the time. I know a lot more than I may lead on to. And so Dorian kind of decides, well, we gotta move a little bit of our pieces. He storms into Manon's room, and then Aelin's room. He at least knocks because she would blow his head off probably. Grabs both of them by the hand, not saying anything. They're both like, what the fuck is going on? And brings them down to the cargo room. And he brings them specifically to our not handheld giant mirror.
Now, this is because of something that Manon said when they were like, before he like leaves her. And or like in the last chapter. Because he was like, we're not done yet. And she says, unless you would like to learn precisely which parts of me are made of iron, the next time you touch me, I decide those things. And he's like, all right, cool. And then leaves. And then afterwards, he's like,
iron.
Hold on a fucking second. Hold on.
He did what we did
a couple
episodes ago.
Yeah. Where we were like, iron? Wait, hold on. Because nobody else fucking caught it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a theory. And he's like, I figured it out, guys. I got this. It's you two. It's y'all. Okay?
Flame, iron, and silver. The mirror is silver. Aelin is flame. And Manon is iron.
He thinks... Manon answers basically that it's... He figures out that it's a traveling mirror. He thinks that it's a traveling mirror. And the way that he figures this out is that thing. It's flame and iron together bound. Merge into silver to learn what must be found. A mere step is all it shall take. And he points to the mirror and says, step into the silver and learn.
Yeah. He pretty much says, I don't think the witch mirror has power, or at least not brute tangible power. The power itself is knowledge. And so you go into this mirror and you will learn, like they say. Which, also the reaction of him knowing information and Aelin not figuring it out and it being Dorian, how she sasses him and he's like, yeah, you're not the only one that knows how to figure shit out. You just don't share information with anyone.
Because he said, she says, we don't have time for what ifs. Too many things could go wrong. Dorian counters, saying you have little magic left. You could be in and out of this mirror before dawn and use what you learned to send Maeve a message in no uncertain terms. And at one point, she's like, I'll go by myself. And Manon is like, you could be going into Morath and you don't know where you're going if that's where it sends us. Also, just fucking take me with you because two people fighting are better than one. She's like, all right, fine.
But and also, the riddle is flame and iron.
I know.
You can't go by yourself.
So they both agree to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I thought it was funny.
Because Manon says that symbol belongs to both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And if it takes you to Morath, you're going to need someone who knows the way out.
Yes.
Steps thudded down the stairs at the back of the hold. Dorian twisted toward them, but Aelin smirked at Manon and approached the mirror. Then I'll see you on the other side, witch. Adian's golden head appeared between the crates. What the hell are you? Aelin's shallow nod seemed all that Manon needed. She placed her hand atop Aelin's. Golden eyes met Dorian's for a moment, and he opened his mouth to say something to her, the words surging from barren fields in his chest. But Aelin and Manon pressed their joined hands to the speckled glass. Adian's shout of warning ran through the hold as they vanished. And then Aelin punches Dorian in the face.
Literally. Yeah. I mean, I get it. I get it, but also...
Yes. Because, Adian's least favorite thing, and the thing he complains about most in this book specifically, is being left out of plans.
To be fair, to their defense, he would have fucking way they would have let him go. Them.
Yep.
Would have definitely stopped them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Aelin storms back upstairs, Dorian in tow with a black eye, and
Rowan's back now too.
Everyone. Yeah, Rowan has landed. Aelin tells everyone that Aelin and Manon walked into a mirror. Dorian explained there was little choice. And unfortunately, they were still about to face down a battle. So, in Rowan fashion, he puts his warrior hat back on and is like, we don't have time to figure out what to do about that because dawn is approaching and we will have to decide if we're going to fight Maeve. So, we're going to get ready. He also realizes that Maeve is likely going to use the Blood Oath when it would impact them the most. Because he currently has 3 people on his ship who are sworn to Maeve, Blood Oath wise. So
yeah, and they're like, Rowan doesn't want them to get in trouble.
Yeah.
And he's like, but they don't really know how to play this. They're trying to figure out what to do. Rowan doesn't want to get them in trouble, but he likely knows that, like, they're going to get in trouble anyways. Because if they're anywhere near them when shit goes down, like, Maeve's going to find out. And
Lorcan's the one that actually says it.
Yes.
Which is wild.
I know, and it's... Yeah, he says if you're spotted fighting on this side, it's over. She'll either kill you both or make you regret it in other ways. And Fenris says, what about you? And Lorcan replies, it was over for me months ago. Now it's a matter of waiting to see what she'll do about it. And Gavriel says she'll see that we've worked our way around her order to kill you. If fighting on this side of the line doesn't damn us enough, then that surely will. It likely already has. And this is when Fenris reveals...
that Lorcan response. Dawn's still half an hour off if you 2 want to try again.
I forgot about that one. That one's so good. You guys can try again. Like, we got time. Fenris says it's all a ploy to fracture us when Maeve knows that unified we could present a considerable threat. And Gavriel says we'd never turn on her. Whatever, Gavriel. You're fucking too honorable. She sucks. Just do it.
I think it's more of...
Figure it out.
I think it's more of the Blood Oath. He knows...
I know, that they can't.
Yeah.
And Fenris says, no, but we would offer that strength to another. When we got your call for aid this spring, when you asked us to come defend Mistward, we left before Maeve could get wind of it. We ran. And Lorcan says, that's enough. Trying to cut him off. But Fenris went on, holding Rowan's gaze. When we return, Maeve whipped us all within an inch of our lives, tied Lorcan to the post for 2 days, and let Karen whip him whenever he wished. Lorcan ordered us not to tell you for whatever reason, but I think Maeve saw what we did together in Mistward and realized how dangerous we could be to her.
When they
Rowan
find
is
out
devastated.
who she is, she gonna die. I hope.
Oh my god. This is what I'm saying. There fucking no way. There's no shot. I don't. No. She needs to go. She needs to fucking go.
Yeah. I need her to help us get Erewhon through the gate, and then she needs to be gone.
Gotcha.
We're gonna... Erewhon's going through the
go.
gate, and then we're gonna shove Maeve as well. She can also go. Take you and your spiders. Bye. The cadre much decided that they
decided to stay.
Were going to stay and fight for as long as they could. Granted, we know that Maeve can manipulate their brains and turn them against them, but they are going to do their best. Rowan gives out orders, as he does, because he knows how to do this. He's done this before. Each of them were going to be in charge of a few ships. Fenris, Lorcan, and Gavriel were going to be the furthest back, kind of out of line of sight, if possible. Maeve likely knows that they exist on these ships already. He is hopeful that, like, maybe she doesn't. Or maybe she's not here. So, if we keep them back, then the people on the ships can't tell her, or she won't know if she doesn't already. And fingers crossed, the cadre can just stay with them and nothing bad will happen after this. Dorian, Aelin, and Rowan are kind of our front line. Rowan and Dorian are our main magic front line, let's be honest. Aelin is gonna do Aelin things. He's good at leading an army. It's what he has done
very
before.
powerful and whatever, but
he doesn't have like magic.
Yeah.
At least that we're aware of. Lysandra is gonna do what Lysandra does. And she turns into a sea wyvern. And her goal, and Rowan has specifically said, you are not to get yourself killed, pretty much. Her goal is to just, when they're not paying attention, and when they're fighting Rowan, and like not until Rowan pretty much gives the word, so that their magic isn't shielding their ship, she is to hit the like hull of the boat, so that it will hopefully sink and cause more chaos. The big reason, and of course Rowan knows this, they are not going to be using, once they start turning against kind of Rowan and all the ships, they are not going to be able to also shield their ship and fight with the magic as well. And of course Rowan knows this because he's fought with them. He's fought directly beside them and led this specific group. So he knows, he has pretty much trained them, the whole like armada in front of him. So they are all kind of in their readying positions. Lysandra is in the water. She's doing her water thing. Another rowboat arrives. A Fae male balancing on the boat says, Her Majesty awaits your reply. Rowan tunneled into his depleted reserves because he's still trying to like bring his power up because he knows he's about to get into a fight. Inform Maeve that Aelin Galathinius is no longer present to give a reply. A blink from the male was all the shock he let show. Princess Aelin Galathinius is ordered to surrender, the male said. Queen Aelin Galathinius is not on this ship or any other in this fleet. She is, in fact, not on the shore or in any nearby lands. So Maeve will find she came a long way for nothing. We will leave your armada in peace if you will grant us the same courtesy. The male sneered up at him. Spoken like cowards who know they're outnumbered. Spoken like a traitor. Rowan gave the male a small smile. Let's see what Maeve has to say now. Did you write Aelin isn't here, bitch, or was that me? Because I really don't remember.
That's you. Aelin, you wrote
Aelin
isn't here, bitch.
My shorthand for this section was, another rowboat arrived. Maeve awaits your reply. Aelin isn't here, bitch. Maeve answered with arrows raining down on them.
Yep.
And then Maeve's armada began crawling towards them. So instead of responding, her response was starting to shoot arrows. Rowan threw up a shield over them as the arrows started raining down. And he bellowed to everyone else who has magic, shield. And not just magic wielders, those men who had, like, swords and shield to put them above their head to protect them. They realized that the arrows were, like, imbued with magic. They had magic. They're, like, magic arrows. They're arrows, but they have stuff on them that is going to be harder for them to shield against. Which is great. Love that for us. Especially when all of our magic wielders are tired from wielding magic less than 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
So Sarah really likes when drain everybody of their magic before shit hits the fan. We've seen it in other aspects of her series.
I mean, they're fighting a lot of things all at one time, so I'm not super surprised.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the last of Rowan and crew for this episode.
The last of the, like, army part of our dream team.
Yeah.
Luckily, we get a little bit from Aelin and Manon.
Yeah, we'll get some Aelin and Manon. But now we're going to go back to Tower of Dawn.
Yeah.
So this is the point where, in this read, I'm like, oh, this is weird now. Because shit's hitting the fan in Empire of Storms. And then we immediately go to Tower of Dawn, and it's like, Chaol and Yrene are having fun. They're having a good time. People are happy.
Yeah, they be doing it. No. They want to do it some more.
Chaol wants to do it some more. I mean, Yrene isn't opposed to the idea.
Yeah.
For sure.
She's definitely not opposed to the idea.
She definitely doesn't want him to fucking hurt himself, though.
Yes. So, Chaol and Yrene, morning has come. They're still in the Oasis. They leave. They left a note saying that Yrene needed to go see a patient.
Mm-hmm.
They make their way back to the palace. When they show up, Chaol's room and Nesryn's room and kind of their shared areas were completely trashed. Someone was looking for something. They, of course...
Also, Chaol has, like, a brief moment of PTSD where he, like, literally looks into Nesryn's room and thinks in his head, but no body lay sprawled on the bed, no blood stained the sheets or splattered the walls. I was like, oh, Nehemia, it hurts!
Mm-hmm.
No!
Yeah, if they pulled the, like...
But also
Nesryn's
they trashed
there,
her room.
Freak the fuck
my
out.
fucking god, I would lost my shit! Nesryn couldn't be there anyways. It's fine.
Yeah.
She's somewhere else.
Yep.
Yrene starts freaking out because they took, like, all the fucking books.
Yeah. Books, the scrolls, everything
they had
that was
come back.
hidden, they found, pretty much.
They were coming back to grab the scrolls and take them to Hafiza so that Hafiza could try to help them, like, read through them and translate them and stuff. Mm-hmm. So Irene's like, all is lost. We're screwed. They find one. They find one scroll.
Yeah,
because
she tucked one in his boot.
Which they tucked one in his boot, and she comes out, like, clutching the boot to her chest like it's a precious baby. And I just love the idea of Yrene coming out and being like, "They missed one. We're good." And she's fucking holding a boot, like, to her chest. I'm like, this is kind of great. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Kaja was there cleaning up, and Yrene immediately goes on, like, a tirade at Kaja, thinking that she was the one that, like, opened the door to let people in, or she was the one that ransacked it, or whatever. And Chaol's like, chill,
Calm down.
take a breath. It's weird to have Chaol being the one like, hey, chill out. You're spiraling.
Mm-hmm.
Which, was fun.
That's fine. He spirals in about 2.5 fucking seconds.
Yeah. Pretty much Chaol looks at Kaja and says, she says that she was gone because he was away. She took the night off to go visit her family.
Yeah.
And Chaol's like, that is fine. You can
Actually,
stop
go
cleaning
do that,
up.
please.
You should go spend time with your family. She, of course, is like freaked out a little. Which, I don't know if she thinks she's getting fired. She's not. Chaol's just like, we'll deal with this. There's a lot of things we had hidden in here that we are going to be talking about. We don't want you in our vicinity, so please go. Just like, be with your family.
Yeah. That's when Yrene goes and looks for the boot.
Yeah.
Because not when Kadya's there.
She has it. They took all, even the song of the beginning. At least they didn't find this, and that's when she comes out with the boot held to her chest. They're getting desperate. That makes people dangerous. We shouldn't stay here. She tries to convince Chaol to go with her to the Torre and stay at the Torre with her. He realizes that it's not safe for her to be there with him if these are the type of actions. He is very much going back to Nehemia being attacked, and then like so much shit happened at the castle after Nehemia was attacked. So it's very much like reminiscent of that same. His rooms were all like ransacked. Now he feels like someone's going to attack again, and he doesn't think he can protect Yrene here. He also has the like mental spiral of Aelin waited to tell me before, like, tell me she loved Rowan before she did anything with him, and she came back and told me first before she did anything, and I'm terrible because I didn't do that to Nesryn, and I brought her here, and like
left
blah, 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 blah.
a fucking note and said that she's like, I'm done, bye. Mm-hmm. And he's still doing this shit.
Yeah, so he convinces
when
her
she
to stay
did
at
return
the
to find him gone with Yrene, he treated her abominably. He'd let himself forget that he promised, what he implied in Rifthold, on the ship here. And Nesryn might not hold him to any promises, but he'd broken so many of them. Dude! So he pushes Yrene away.
Again. So she was going to argue with him. I think she's Yrene, and she can pick up much more than, a lot of things. So she picks up that he's having a mentee be. She's like, all right, cool. I'm going to keep doing what we planned on doing. I'm going to bring this final scroll back to the Torre, and I'm going to bring it to Hafiza.
She does, though, like, fucking, she's pissed about it. And, like, basically is like, I'll take this scroll myself then, and fucking leaves.
Yeah. Chaol's a fool, as we know. Whatever. Yrene gets to the Torre. And she brings the final scroll to Hafiza. She's in like a tizzy. She's like trying to give all this information to Hafiza, and all Hafiza can talk about is her and Lord Westfall being all lovey-dovey and is teasing Yrene about it. And she's like, stop it. I assume the young lord finally handed over his heart. Yrene coughed. Oh, I knew. We are not. That is to say, there is nothing official. That locket suggests otherwise. He is not. He's a lord. At Hafiza's raised brow, Irene's temper wetted itself. Who else knew? Who else had seen and commented and betted? He is a lord of Otterlin, she clarified. So? Otterlin. I thought you had moved past that. Perhaps she had. Perhaps she hasn't. It is nothing to be concerned about. A knowing smile. Good. But unfortunately, you're not here to give me all the juicy details.
No. Hafiza is like, I'm assuming this actually has something to do with the scroll that you're holding. She's like, yup. And she tells her kind of what's going on, tells Hafiza. And Hafiza's response is, you're certain that these forces are amassing on your continent? And she basically is like, yes, like Chaol's seen them. They're trying to raise an army. Like they're like Aelin and Dorian are doing their best, and they're trying to get the army together so that they can fight them. And Hafiza's reply is, now you two believe that the healers have some role to play. And then she kind of talks about what they found in the necropolis, about the Fae, and that she and Chaol believe that they were that this sect of healers was started to be that last chance, last kind of line of defense that was hidden away to be protected. Hafiza goes, yes, this reminds me of something that may be important that has been sitting here this entire time. And she...
It was gifted to me from the last healer on high, and I've never actually been able to read it.
She takes a key out and opens this, little locked case that's in the corner of the room. Fucking iron. It's iron. It's an iron box. And she shows Yrene one of the books.
Iron box, Yrene immediately... Magic can't open it. You need the key.
Yeah, it's an iron box.
Love it.
Okay. And Yrene immediately is like, those are word marks.
Yeah.
Hafiza says, I was told these books were not for human eyes, that it was knowledge best kept locked away and forgotten, lest it find its way into the world. Yrene asks why, and Hafiza says, that's all my predecessor told me. They're not meant for human eyes. Oh, once or twice I've been drunk enough to debate opening the books, but every time I take this key out, I reconsider. She says she does not know how to read these books, nor what this language is, but if those scrolls and books in the library itself, then the fact that these have been locked up here, perhaps this is the sort of information worth killing for. She says that she knows that Chaol has someone that can read them, and Hafiza says that she'll think about it.
So
she doesn't give the books to her.
She says she wants to bring them to her to be able to read.
Yeah, they'd have to bring them to be able to read them.
And of course the line is identical to, or practically identical to when Rowan asked his cousins to help. I shall consider. I need people to just say yes. Yes, I'll help. Sounds great. Seems like a good enough reason. I'll do my best. I shall consider.
She says that she'll consider it. And then she also tells Yrene that, a long time ago, she got this, her predecessor, I think. She got her predecessor real drunk one night to try to get information out of her. And she says, she told me long ago that before man stumbled here, before the horse lords and the rooks above the steppes, this land belonged to Fae, a small, pretty little kingdom, its capital here. Antica was built atop its ruins, but they erected temples to their gods beyond the city walls, out in the mountains, in the riverlands, in the dunes. And Yrene says, like the necropolis. She says, yes, and she told me that they did not burn their bodies, but entombed them within sarcophagi, so thick no hammer or device could open them, sealed with spells and clever locks, never to be opened. And Yrene asks why, and she says, the drunk goat told me that it was because they lived in fear of someone getting in to take their bodies. And Yrene is scared because she's like, great, the Valg use humans for possession, so cool.
Everything's fine. We're not gonna just have a death army raise out of the ground. If you know, you know.
And even after this conversation, Hafiza's still like, I'll think about it. Now, go away. Can you think faster? Please?
If you know, you know. I'm scared.
Yrene leaves, and she goes to the womb.
First she goes
chill.
she goes to the library first, and then she decides I don't want to be here. Or she goes to her room and is pacing, and then she goes to the womb. I skipped that little section. I didn't think it was really necessary. She goes to her room.
I don't think it's necessary either.
She goes to her room and she's pacing. She's like, I have too much energy.
Just skip it.
She's like, I can go to the library, but then the Baskets, I don't want to be looked at. So then she goes to the womb. She's decided to relax, to think on all the things that she has now learned. She wondered if the healer that died sang here now. The last time she saw that healer was in the... Well, other than when she was dead. The last time she had interacted with that healer was in the womb. This is when we learn about the bells. And for some reason, I didn't think that the bells got hung up until someone passed for some reason. So when she says...
when they first begin, when they first become a healer.
Yeah. So she goes to find her bell because she wants to ring her own bell because she hears kind of all the music that plays from like the droplets hitting stuff. So she rings hers and she realizes that the sound is traveling in a very specific pattern and traveling towards something. So then she rings it again. And the second time she rings it, she follows the path in which the sound is traveling. Which I think is really sick. Past the bells of generations of healers, all singing in its wake. A wave of sound answered, "You must enter where you feel to tread." It's exactly what was said to her the last time she was here. Yrene walked on, the bells ringing. Still she followed the sound of her own bell, that sweet, clear song beckoning onward, pulling her. The darkness still dwelled in him, in his wound. They had beaten it so far back, yet it remained. Yesterday, he told her things that broke her heart, but not the entire story. But if the key to defeating that shred of Valg blackness did not lie in facing the memories alone, if blind blasts of her magic did nothing, Yrene followed the silver bells ringing to where it halted. An ancient corner of the room, the chains rusted with age, some of the bells green from oxidation. Here the sound of her bell went silent. No, not silent, but waiting, humming against the corner of stone. There was a small bell hanging just by the end of the chain, so oxidized that the writing was nearly impossible to read, but Yrene read that the name there, Yafa Towers. A Towers woman, a Towers healer, here with her. A Towers woman had been singing in this room during the years Yrene had dwelt here. Even now, even so far from home, she had never once been alone. Enter where you fear to tread. This is where she realizes that the Valg's power is feeding off of him. And not just like existing. So every time he has his negative self-talk, our Valg is getting stronger. Which we figured out a long time ago. So we're really happy Yrene has figured it out. Chaol should have probably figured it out, considering all of his interactions with the Valg and how they work. And, you know, Dorian and how that all went down.
I'm excited to see what she does about it.
Hmm.
Now that she understands.
She knows, and we'll find out what she does about it. But we have to go to Empire of Storms first.
In a minute. We gotta go to Empire of Storms.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at any point in this book, you get more lore and you're like, oh shit, that's crazy. Nothing could be more insane or crazier than that. And then she fucking does some more shit. So, god damn it. Here we go. Aelin and Manon did not travel to a place. The mirror, shows fucking memories.
They also didn't have, like, the way they traveled, they didn't travel as, like, human bodies. The way they're described, they're like
fucking misty ghost shit. Because they're in someone else's memory, just watching it.
Yeah. They're, like, spectating this thing.
They're spectral spectators.
What I really enjoyed is, like, as they described it, it was like this misty land surrounded by night, and then all of a sudden there was a light moving towards them, and it notated the two of them getting closer and closer until they were pressed up against each other so hard to be an impenetrable wall that someone would have to get through. And I was just like, yes, iron and fire together, we can do this. They are going to be an impenetrable wall to get through. I liked that little tidbit within this. Like, they automatically went to each other of like, we're gonna go down swinging if this isn't what we need it to be.
Aelin knew 3 things as the light and color enveloped them and became tangible. They were not seen or heard or scented by those before them. And this was the past, 1,000 years ago to be exact. And that Elena Galathinius, on her knees in a black, barren mountain pass, blood dripping from her nose, tears sliding through the dirt, crusting her face to splatter on her armor. An obsidian sarcophagus somehow stationed before her. All across the sarcophagus, word marks simmered with pale blue fire, and in the center of it, the eye of Elena, the amulet held within the stone, its pale gold, unvarnished and gleaming. Then, as if a phantom breath blew over it, the eye dimmed along with the word marks. Elena reached with a trembling hand to twist the eye, rotate it thrice in black stone. The eye clicked and tumbled into Elena's waiting hand, sealing the sarcophagus.
So our Our eye is our actual literal key to lock the thing, or it's the lock itself.
Manon says, "You had the lock all along, but then the mirror." I think Aelin breathed. "We have been deliberately misled about what we must retrieve." "No shit!" Manon said, with equal quiet, "Why?" "I suppose we're about to find out." Aelin and Manon stood in silence as the scene unfolded, as the truth, at last the truth, now wove together.
Yay!
So they watch Elena's memory.
There is so much information in chapter 65. It is only memories. That is chapter 65. So our first memory, and you can say it if you would like, is Dawn at the Obsidian Passes. So we are now going to get Elena's POV of this scenario playing out that they saw when they entered the mirror.
The memory starts right when she locks the sarcophagus and she seals Erewhon inside. So this is the moment that, like, she seals him away, uses the Eye of Elena to do it, and is like, "I've done it. I've won. I've protected everyone." Gavin is, like, bloody next to her because the only way that she was going to be able to do this is, like, he was the distraction to be able to save, for her to be able to do this. And she sees Mala, like, on the other side of this barrier, basically. And she tries to call to her, and one of the other beings like on the other side, because she seals them through on the other side of the gate, basically, like seals them away, and they can't get into this world. They want to be let out because they had this deal with her father to seal themselves away with Erewhon so that they could take care of him for everybody. They were going to take Erewhon and be sealed away with him, and then they were like, we can deal with him. We will happily deal with him. It'll be great.
Yeah, they were going to take him and bring him back through the gate.
Yeah.
And kind of defeat him in their world versus keeping him in this world.
And then close the gate with all of them over there.
And lock that gate with this lock.
And that was what
the plan was.
Brannon had planned already. That was what Mala had given up her life for, to forge the lock that they could only use the one time. And Brannon was going to use it to get all of them on the other side, and then they could deal with Erewhon once they were over there. She doesn't know any of this. She also doesn't know, Elena doesn't know any of this. And she's like, I did what I thought was best because I thought my dad was just scared to use the lock.
Yay.
No. So she locks them all behind there, and then she realizes what she's done after they tell her, and she's panicking and saying, I'll fix it. Just tell me what I need to do. Elena, they say, we will wait, but there must be a price and a promise. And she says, name it. I hate when they fucking say name it so much. They say back to her, Mala's bloodline shall bleed again to forge the lock anew, and you will lead them, a lamb to the slaughter, to pay the price of this choice you made, to waste its power here for this petty battle. You will show this future scion how to forge a new lock with Mala's gifts, how to then use it to wield the keys and send us home. Our original bargain still holds. We will take the Dark King with us, tear him apart in our own world, where he will be dust and memory. When we are gone, you will show this scion how to seal the gate behind us, the lock holding it intact eternally, by yielding every last drop of their life force, as your father was prepared to do when the time was right. Please, Elena breathed. The three-faced one said, tell Brannon of the wildfire what occurred here. Tell him the price his bloodline shall one day pay. Tell him to ready for it. And Elena says, I will. This is when Gavin wakes up and says, what have you done? What have you given to them? And Elena says, did you not hear it? Only you, he rasped, his face so horribly pale, no others. And then she doesn't fucking tell him what exactly she's agreed to. She just says the price will be paid later, and then doesn't tell him. All she says is, Erewhon will awaken again one day. When the time comes, I will help those who must fight him. Which is how we've never fucking heard of any of this shit until now. Elena fucked everything.
Yep.
And then has the audacity to be like, oh, I can make this somebody else's fucking problem? Cool.
Gavin knows. He obviously didn't hear what was going on, but he knows that she lied in some manner. He releases his grip, the finger still broken from where it had rested on Damaris's hilt, but he did not take her offered hand, and he did not tell her what he detected while he touched the sword of truth. What lies he'd sensed and unraveled. They never spoke of them again. So that's memory number 1. Memory number 2 gave me a little bit of joy.
Memory number 2 is the hardest that I have cried in this series.
I think it just gave me joy because it gave, and we'll get into it, but it gave me a picture of Nehemia with like Aelin attitude, which like gave me joy. So, memory number 2 is Moonrise at the Temple of Sandrian, the Stone Marshes. So, we are no longer hundreds of years in the past. We are at a point where the Princess of Eelway was wandering the stone marshes searching for answers to riddles posed 1,000 years ago. So
she's so fucking smart, and she already has fucking been to the place where they found the mirror.
Yep. So she read all of the riddles and assumed that they were meant for her to then go and do this grand gesture. When she gets to this point in the stone marshes where we have found the lock or the mirror, Elena appears to Nehemia. "You are Nehemia," she said, "the princess world." Her hunting leathers stained and damp, the gold tips of her braided hair clinking. An assessing look. "And you are Elena." Elena nodded. "Why have you come?" The Princess of Eelway jerked her chin. "Am I not called to open it, to learn how to save us, and to pay the price?" "No," Elena said quietly. "Not you, not in this way." "Then in what way, lady, am I required to bleed?" Too long. She had waited too long. And now that darkness had fallen, now a new sun would rise, must rise. It is Mala's bloodline that will pay, not your own. Her back stiffened. "You have not answered my question." In the north, 2 branches flow from Mala. One to the Havilyard house, where its prince, with my mate's eyes, possesses my raw magic and her brute power. The other branch flows through the Galathinius house, where it breed true, flame and embers and ashes. "Aelin Galathinius is dead," Nehemia said. "Not dead, just hiding, forgotten by a world grateful to see such a power extinguished before it matured. Where is she, and how does this tie to me, lady?" "You are versed in the history, in the players and the stakes. You know the word marks and how to wield them. You misread the riddles, thinking it was you who must come here, to this place. This mirror is not the lock. It is a pool of memory, forged by myself, my father, and Rhiannon Kraken. Forged so that the heir of this burden might understand one day. Know everything before deciding. This encounter, too, shall be held in it, but you were called so we might meet. Go north, princess. Go into your enemy's household. Make the contacts, get the invitation. Do what you must, but get to your enemy's house. The 2 bloodlines will converge there. Already they are on their way. Aelin Galathinius is headed to Otterlin? Not Aelin, not with that name, that crown. Know her by her eyes, turquoise with a core of gold. Know her by the mark on her brow, the bastard's mark, the mark of Brannon. Guide her, help her, she will need you. And the price? Elena hated them then, hated the gods who had demanded this, hated herself, hated that this was asked, all these bright lights. You will not see Eelway again. Will my people survive? A small, quiet voice. I don't know. Then I will take the steps for that too. Unite the rebels while I'm in Rifthold, ready the continent for war. One of them must be ready to do what needs to be done, Elena said, if only because it was the sole way to explain, to apologize. Nehemia swallowed. then I shall help in whatever way I can for Aurelia and for my people. And now we know why Nehemia had to die. Because Elena sucks.
The reason that this hurts so much is the fact that she knows the whole time.
Yep.
That she's Aelin.
Yep.
She knows the whole time that she's Aelin. She knows the whole time that she's chosen for this. And knows, like, the amount of information that Nehemia has. There, I mean, it is a little frustrating, the fact that we're
Nehemia didn't tell
so many books in.
Aelin anything.
So many books in. And now we're at the point that Nehemia was at fucking 2 years ago. Fuck.
Pretty much.
Oh my god.
Unfortunately,
it's heartbreaking.
that is the last sentence we're left with in Empire of Storms for this section.
She's too good for this world.
She is.
She didn't deserve it. She deserves so much better. Let's go back to Chaol being fucking stupid, I guess.
Well, yes. Gets better, though.
He does.
This is a pivotal point.
This
for
is the
Chaol
most
and
short.
Yrene.
This is the most short-lived Chaol being a fucking idiot. And at least this time, he didn't lash out at her. He just was like, "You should go sleep with the Tory. I'm gonna stay here."
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't like a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Yelling at her and saying fucking heinous shit like fucking 6 chapters ago.
Correct.
So we're making progress.
Yeah.
He was in a lot of pain. He did a lot of shit. But then also decided to be a broody bastard, which makes his mark worse. We've connected that now. So, and now Yrene figured it out. He still has not. So, in his self-loathing, as his self-loathing rises, his pain and the lack of use of his legs also rises. So, he is in a lot of pain. He he goes and takes a hot bath, which Yrene will promptly yell at him for in a minute here. And is trying to he's panicking because now he feels like he is regressing.
Yeah, it's harder for him to move his toes. He can still move his legs. It's just he notates it
so much
being painful now.
Yeah.
Whereas it wasn't previously. Like, it was hard for him to move because his muscles were straining for not being used for a while. But now it's like he goes to move his feet and it is searing pain. Not great.
Yep. Thank God. Yrene fucking busts through the door. She's gonna save the day. And she immediately comes in and sees how uncomfortable he is, and she's like, "Can you move?" And he basically says he's in a ton of pain. She gets him to describe what she's done since, and he tells her that he's taken a hot bath, and she's like, "No, ice! You have to use ice for your strained muscles, not heat." So she immediately starts to kind of work on him, and then she says that it crept back. That she can feel that the Valg magic is gaining ground back. And she basically is like, "I have to go back in." And she says, I'm going all the way in. I'm ending this today. Right now. And Chaol says, "And what if I can't face it or endure it?" And she says, "That's not my question to answer." Fucking hands him the bit and is like, "Let's go."
You all have to figure that shit out while I'm doing this.
She says, "I have a theory. I want to test it. And you're the only person I can try it on." And Chaol realizes that she's basically saying she thinks that she can beat the Valg and cure him, like cure what's in him, and that he's the only one that she has access to that has any Valg power in him. So, Yrene did not hesitate. She soared through him, down the ladder of his spine, down the corridors of his bones and blood. She was a spear of light fired straight into the dark, aiming for that hovering shadow that had stretched out once more, had tried to reclaim him. Yrene slammed into the darkness and screamed. It warred back. They tangled, grappling. It was foreign and cold and hollow. It was rife with rot and wind and hate. Yrene threw herself into it, every last drop. And above, as if the surface of a night-dark sea separated them, Chaol bellowed with agony. Today. It ended today. I know what you are. So Yrene fought, and so the darkness raged back. So fucking cool. And now we get Chaol's memories.
We get Chaol's pit of despair. So, as we have learned, as the darkness takes over and he is doing this,
yep,
it is just like bad memories over and over, and it
is the same
very
shit,
cyclical. It feeds on itself, and it just keeps going and going so that it has power. The more he thinks about all of these terrible things, the more it grows, and it causes him to think more so that it can fight against Yrene.
And it's like the same shit that Aelin was seeing when she was attacked in Mistward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like
similar
all of
to
the
Dorian
self-destructive thoughts that they could possibly put.
Yeah.
So it's Chaol's greatest hits. Mm-hmm. Of all the sad, fucked shit he's done, or the shit that he at least thinks is sad and fucked and makes him a terrible person.
Chaol blacks out from the pain. So he's no longer screaming, but now it's just bombarding of memories.
Yeah.
It repeats nothing, nothing. He is worthless. He's nothing. And then his father appears. And his father is glaring down at him from the top of stairs. And then Aelin appears, and he hated her. And he hated her because of she went to Wedlin. She killed to kill the royal family. There's just all of these like darkness. He hated him, yet his father, that horrible, miserable bastard, had upheld his end of the bargain, and he didn't. So it was always like, I hate this person, but they did something good, and I couldn't even do that minimal thing. I hate Aelin, but at least she waited for me. Like, waited to tell me that it was over before being with Rowan. And it's always this, like, I hate this person, and then it gets turned on himself because he's like, but at least they weren't a coward. At least they went and did this thing. And then Rowan appeared, and he saw the two of them together and saw that they were happy and could tell that there was this lightness that he couldn't give her. And so he was upset about that. And then he hated them both. And then he says that she wrecked his life and then left, which is not entirely true. Killer, liar, thief, murderer, liar, thief repeats about Aelin over and over. And then he hits a memory that Yrene has. And it's Yrene in a garden with her mother. And then it's another okay memory when Aelin says that she loves him and that she's sorry. Then shame presses on him. He understood that the path that Aelin had changed, and he understood why she was sorry. And she believed her. Like, he believed her that she loved him and that she was actually sorry. And then back to darkness again. We get this little glimpse of positive thought because,
I mean, I don't even think it's positive thought, to be honest. When he thinks of Yrene, it's in a way that he failed her as well, because he feels he's responsible for the fact that Yrene's mother died.
Fair.
And then on top of that, he thinks of Nesryn after he thinks of Yrene, and the fact that he didn't wait with Nesryn and Yrene. So it's like, even he thinks about it for like a split second and feels good and is like, oh, it's Yrene, and then spirals down of like, and I fucked everything up there, and her mom's dead because I didn't do anything, and Yrene, I like dishonored Yrene because I was with Nesryn, and then I dishonored Nesryn because I ended up being with Yrene. And then she's like, he's hates Aelin, and then understands Aelin for loving him, and then also being sorry, and then coming back with Rowan, and then Rowan would have, like, if they had chosen to be together, he knows Rowan would have like fucked off and like let her done whatever she wanted. And then he makes promises, he thinks again about the promises he made to Nesryn, and then feels like shit again. And just doesn't end. He thinks of Aelin again, and then that's ripped away. He thinks of the scene in the throne room with Sorsha and Dorian screaming. And then thinking of Dorian telling him, I love you, and to go. And like has failed absolutely everyone.
It showed him one thing that was alluded to that we didn't get the full information of. Showed him Dorian's hands killing Russ and Brulo. Over and over, it showed him their suffering. He did not want to heal. He deserved to suffer. And then he remembered Dorian. He still had Dorian. He still cared for Dorian. I'm coming home. And then Yrene appears in front of him, surrounded in light. The darkness belongs to you. And then he realized.
He realizes that it's like his darkness that's making it worse and feeding it. And he says, was it ever Valg to begin with? Yes, but it's yours to keep now, this place, this final kernel of it. Will it grow again? Only if you let it. Only if you do not fill it with better things. Only if you do not forgive. But if you are kind to yourself, if you love yourself as much as I love you. Something began pounding in his chest, a drumbeat that had gone silent down there. Yrene held her hand toward him, her iridescence rippling out into the darkness. This is not the end. Will it hurt? He asked hoarsely. The way back, the way out. The path back to life, to himself. Yes, but just this one last time. The darkness does not want to lose you. I'm afraid I can't say the same. And she pulls him out and back to the light.
Life. He had life to savor, to fight for. And the breaking that had started and ended here, yes, it belonged to him. He was allowed to break so that this forging might begin. So that he might begin again. He owed it to his king, his country, and he owed it to himself. Yrene nodded as if to say yes, so Chaol stood. He surveyed the darkness, this piece of him. He did not balk at it, and smiled at Yrene, and he took her hand. The darkness fell back. The darkness and pain were gone. When he sat back up after this final thing, no pain, no numbness, no ache or exhaustion, gone. His legs were, he moved one. It flowed and shifted without a flicker of pain or tension, smooth as butter. He looked to the right, to where Yrene always sat. She was simply smiling down at him. How? He rasped. My theory, I'll explain later. Is the mark? Her mouth tightened. It is smaller, but still there. Though I do not feel anything when I touch it, nothing at all. A reminder, as if some god wanted him to remember this. Remember what had occurred. He is overjoyed because she healed him. And she, before he can celebrate, is like, maybe you should go take a bath. And then he looked around and realized he vomited everywhere. Yay!
He scoops Yrene into his lap and buries his head in her neck, which she lets him do. And then, like, 5 lines later, she's like, you need to go take a bath. He blinks, looking at himself at the bed. That was vomit on the sheets, his left arm. And I'm like, ugh, Yrene.
She's a healer.
I know you didn't want to ruin the moment, but like...
She's a healer. It's like a person that works in a hospital.
Bro,
these things don't phase them as much anymore.
I'm sorry, but like, no. Just clean it up first, dude. It's fine.
You are going to be scooping your kid up off the floor when they're
That's
vomiting.
different!
She has seen this a million times and cares about him. I would be helping Jared off the floor if he vomited everywhere and taking care of him.
Yeah, but you still, like, I would still be, like, avoiding... I wouldn't want Steven. I wouldn't help him up and let... Well, that's the thing. That's why I'm like...
But I don't think if he went to, like, lean himself on me that I would push his face away from me.
I wouldn't push his face away, but I'd be like, you got vomit on your arm. Don't fucking touch me with that. But, like... I'm gonna pat you on the back over here and be like, I love you too, honey. But, like, if you put your vomit arm anywhere near me, I'm gonna freak out.
With that stuff, though. So I just pictured as Yrene is a, like, nurse in a fucking hospital. Mm-hmm. She's used to this shit. This is, like, just another day.
My sweet husband. I love him to death. But he will be useless when I am physically ill. Because he's a sympathetic puker, for sure. So...
Noise canceling, nose covering.
Yeah, he's gonna have to put headphones in and cover his nose. Haven't had to deal with it much, actually, now that I think about it.
Correct.
I don't get sick in that way very often. Yeah.
So he goes and takes the bath and washes himself off.
Mm-hmm. Well, he goes and gets in the bath.
I'm filling in stuff that has been let out. He went into the bath and he goes completely under and it submerges. From this, he has washed his full body off. And then he has drained all the water out of the tub and then added new water in. And then Yrene joins him. Because I refuse to believe that his vomit water she joins in. Because fuck that. It's not happening. I am making up my own scenario.
It does not say that in the book.
That is correct.
It does not.
And just like you filled in the blanks for some other scenario previously, sand in crevices, we are gonna go with...
Bro, that shit still makes me angry.
He washed his body, we have replaced the water, and then Yrene shows back up to join him in the bath. And then they be doing it again. While we're stressed out that Manon and Aelin are in a mirror, Chaol and Yrene are doing it in a bathtub. They miss dinner. They miss everything. Yrene was limp with exhaustion. Chaol told Yrene that he loved her. Well, he brought up the fact that she said she loved him.
Yeah, he goes, you said you love me. And she's like, don't feel obligated. And he silences her and says, is it true? And she says, yes. And he says, then it is a good thing, Yrene Towers, that I love you as well.
From the moment you walked into the sitting room that first day, I think I knew even then. I was a stranger. You looked at me without an ounce of pity. You saw me, not the chair or the injury. You saw me, It was the first time I'd felt seen, felt awake in a long time. When Nesryn returns, I plan to make it clear, though I think she knew before I did. And beyond that, the choice is yours, Yrene. When you leave, how you leave, if you truly want to leave at all. But if you'll have me, there will be a place for you on my ship, at my side. What sort of place? Chaol stretched out like a cat, tucking his arms behind his head and drawled. The usual options, scullery maid, cook, dishwasher. She poked his ribs and laughed. What place would you like, Yrene? Her heart thundered. Whichever one gives me the right to yell at you if you push yourself too hard. She drew her hand along his legs and his back. A corner of Chaol's mouth kicked up, and he hauled her over him. I think I know just the position.
Wife!
Correct.
Wife would be good. I would accept wife. That'd be nice.
And unlike the last episode, we are going to put all of the badness in the very back of our mind, and we're going to end with this tiny little beautiful tidbit of the two of them being lovey-dovey and kissy-kissy, and everything's great, and Yrene and Chaol forever.
There's
Something
absolutely
like that.
nothing fucking terrible happening in the other book.
No. Nothing at all.
Oh my god.
All around me are familiar faces. I'm scared. I'm scared. Come pick me up. Yeah.
We have two episodes left.
Two episodes left of the Tandem, and then Kingdom
Horrifyingly.
of Ash.
Horrifyingly, next episode will be the end of Empire Storms. Our last episode will have the last of Tower of Dawn.
Yes.
Because the Tandem read, you finish Empire of Storms.
A little
and then
before.
there's a little bit left of Tower of Dawn that you read through. So at least we'll get that wrapped up next episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of Tower of Dawn. And then we're gonna read Kingdom of Ash. Oh, buddy. My anxiety is so high. Even though I know what happens.
Yep.
I'm still
We're
anxious
ready.
about it. We are ready.
Well, that is the
Right.
end of part 11 of our Tandem read.
We're almost done. So excited. I'm so excited for you to finish.
Thank you, everyone, for checking out our episode. We hope you enjoyed your time on this journey with us. Part 11, we got 12 and 13 to go. You can find us at the Smut Peddlers on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok for additional content.
Thanks, everybody. See you
Bye-bye.
later. Bye!